Welcome to Macro Magic. I'm Sherry Damaris, and with me today is Birgit Luders. She's actually in our studio kitchen today. And you might have seen her on some of my previous shows where she talked about her iridology practice, color therapy, and today we're going to talk about detox. So welcome, Birgit.
Thank you for having me. I'm like feeling like home here already, kind of. I'm like, I got this.
And our new kitchen.
Right. So thanks for inviting me. And today I wanted to talk about my new book, if you've heard about it.
Exciting.
Yeah. So I have like 4 books so far. They're like co-authoring. And it was really interesting because I never thought I would be ever writing anything in a foreign language, right? Because I'm from Austria, Vienna, so German essays were really not that easy either. But when you have a passion, words just come out, and I got all those offers for those books. So I had one book that's Unstoppable Women Overcoming Mediocrity. Then one book was 25 Tools for Happiness. And the other one was 25 Tools for the Goddesses. And my newest thing that just came out was this book, Inspired Living.
Nice.
And it's called Superpowers for Health, Love, and Business. And so I'm happy to be part of that with chapter 22. And I go completely into the nutritional world, into the detox world. And that's why my chapter is called Reboot, Restore, and Heal Your Body.
Beautiful.
And my subtitle is exactly that, Detox the Right Way. You know from microbiotic, right, that there are so many foods that can create even detox. We don't need to go extreme, right? But for me, when I started to write about this chapter, I kind of went far back and figured out what is my superpowers, right? So when I got the offer to write for this, I'm like, I don't have any superpowers. And I'm like, what is my superpower? And then I realized sometimes the weaknesses that you have in your life become then your superpowers, right? So I grew up kind of in a, meat-eating, potato-eating world in Austria, and every time I was eating, I felt tired and exhausted, even as a little kid, And I saw all the other kids running out and playing, and I just was in this food coma, right? So very early, I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, right? And so very early on, I kind of was a very picky eater because I just had too much digestive system issues. They weren't really noticed because when you're a little kid, you say, Mom, my belly hurts. And she's like, oh, you don't want to go to school, right? And so in this case, for me, it's kind of, I grew up with this sensitivity, never was diagnosed with any disease, right? But it was just always there that I felt like food gave me exhaustion and fatigue. And it didn't give me the energy that I thought food should give me. And so when I was like playing around then as a kid and figured it out, then one day I just announced to my mom with 10 years old, from now I'm gonna just eat side dishes. And that's called vegetarian, right? And in my mind, I didn't understand that this is vegetarianism because I was growing up in such a rural area in Austria where everybody ate the same things. So of course my mom was panicked, right? She was like, what am I gonna do with her? But she slowly adapted to that I ate more and more the vegetarian foods and less the meat. And the more I ate like more from the vegetables, the better I felt. And so I feel like that really led me to the point where I'm at now, that I'm an herbalist and a wellness coach, right? And an iridologist. I don't think if I wouldn't have had this much struggle through my childhood, I might have not been in that profession, right? Because it's really like that. I don't know how you found microbiotic, or did microbiotics find you?
Strengths. My mom was just always into eating healthy and doing yoga, and my dad was a big meat eater. So I just saw the two contrasting ways of life, and I thought, wow, she's so much, more energetic and vivacious, and my dad was sort of, couch potato. So growing up in that, I thought I just followed her footsteps and started working in a natural food store and then teaching cooking. But I could definitely tell the difference in energy.
And that's exactly what I noticed, just that my other family could maybe digest their food better than me, right? So that lead me to the way of writing this part in this book about reboot, restore, and heal, because there's so much words. The buzzing word right now is detox. I don't know if you know about it, right? But a detox can be anything, right? It could be detox even from chemicals with the laundry, right? So I was trying to figure out, what does it mean, detox? And the first thing that comes up is that like there was a Roman Lucretius, right? He said one man's food could be poison for the other. And I thought that really rings right for me. That's kind of, for me, like the meat didn't do well. Some people thrive on it, maybe, right? But in my case, that wasn't my sense. So I feel like when we go really deep into what is the right food for us, then we need to first find out what is the background, what is the genetic DNA, what is what we are able to really eat due to our ancestors, right? So, for example, I'm from Austria, right? Like I said, and so I think I grew up in the mountains, always lakes, no ocean, no fish, barely like recognized fish when I grew up. And I feel like the more we get so mixed up, especially here in America, everybody moves to America, and then we're eating an American diet. What is the American diet is the big questions now. Is it more European oriented? Is it more South American oriented, African oriented? But I don't think you can really find the proper information. We have to go back to inside us, right? So since I have more the northern part in me, so I'm probably more responsible for a different food as somebody who grows up in a hotter climate. And this is where my advantage comes with my iridology, right? Iridology is pretty much that we look into the eyes and we look at the fibers of the eyes. And in this case, we can figure out what kind of detox we could do with a person. Because detox can be anything, right? Like juice fasts, water fasts, hydrotherapy, right? Saunas could even be detox, right?
Like you mentioned, macrobiotics is generally a whole detox because you're avoiding animal food primarily, you're avoiding heavy dairy food, and you're just eating really light vegetable foods. So in a way, you're going through a fast, where you're cleaning out all those old excesses.
Exactly, and that is also important to understand, because sometimes what if you get stuck too long in a detox-oriented diet too? You need to also learn how to nurture and nourish it back, correct? Because sometimes people just like, they're always in a detox. I had one client that I had, she was constantly on the search for another diet. So she never even gave her body space to nurture. She ran from one detox to the next, and it works in the beginning, and then you're right back to.
Yeah, you can get super depleted of minerals. You have to be careful.
And that's exactly where, like with iridology, I can look at the eyes when the fibers are quite close. So I have, I think, a picture for that. When you see the fiber very close, those are the people that can abuse more of their bodies. Those are the ones that can, like, half sick and the chopped wood outside, you know what I mean? Or those are the people that
So what do the fibers look like? What do you mean the fibers being close in the eyes?
So that's like when you see the lines, it looks like a radius, like a wheel, right? The spokes are very tight together. So when you take a picture from your eyes, you can see it, there are always radius coming out of the pupil. And so when they're more spaced, the more sensitive you are to energy and food. So then those are more my nurturing clients. I can help them, for example, let's say they have migraines, both of them. One with very tight fibers and one very loose fibers. So with the tight fiber, I can go a little bit more extreme. I can put them on take out many things that they might react and then put it back. But that's extreme from one day to the next, right? For the other person where their fibers are more spaced out, I would just start first maybe with dairy. Take dairy out. then we take gluten out. But we give the body time to adapt and adjust. So it's not breaking down the house with a bulldozer, right? And so that is where my specialty comes with iridology, that I can find my way instantly, but just knowing that little information with the client before I even start working with them. And there's also the debate always, I don't know if you know that, but in a holistic world, there's always a debate, first detox and then nurturing, or nurturing first and then detox. You know what I mean? Like you said, somebody could come to you and be already depleted. Then I don't think we would go into a detox, right? We need to first kind of fill up and restore.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? And that's why sometimes people are like, okay, what detox should I do? And I'm like,
Not yet.
Not yet. Not
And
yet.
also, coming off detox or off fast, you have to be very gentle, because when the body goes into a fast mode, they start, miraculously cleaning up all the, the waste products in your intestines and your skin and everything. And then if you usually, your blood sugar level goes down and you start craving food, you can go off a detox and just go crazy and binge on all sorts of things, because you've hit such bottom level with your blood sugar and your metabolism. So you have to be careful coming out and going into them.
Absolutely, I can't agree more. And that's why I call my title Reboot, Restore, and Heal, because reboot is kind of like my computer skills. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when you start and there's nothing working, what am I doing? Unplug it. Have you ever done it?
Turn the power off.
Unplug the power and it starts fresh. And that doesn't always work with our bodies, right? So some can do it, so they unplug and they go on this like 5-day juice fast or water fast or soup fast. Or one funny detox I heard, did you hear about the durian fast? It's like a Philippine fruit, right? And evidently it stinks so bad that in the Philippines they banned it from public places.
Oh my God.
So can't even
so many
eat it.
crazy diets. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to make a salad with all these beautiful ingredients. Welcome back. I'm Sherry Damaris, and with me today is Bridget Luters, and she is sharing information from her new book, Inspired Living. And we're also talking about detox, how to gently detox, go into detox, and also come out of detox without binging too much. And I understand you're going to show us a detox salad.
Yeah, so it's always funny when you invite me for cooking, because I don't really do that too much cooking. like macrobiotic is more cooking, right? Because everything is more pre-cooked, so it's nurtured easier. In the summer right now, it's more salads for me and more raw food, because I love and believe in seasonal food. So I brought my detox salad, and I wanted to show a salad without lettuce in it, right? And every ingredient has a meaning for it. So what that means is when people do detox, they always think it's better to not eat anything, or like the intermittent fasting. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to talk about this right now because there's so much opinion about that. But I feel like if we make better choices with the food that we're eating, then we can be always in a cleanse mode, subtly, in a subtle way, right? So the first important ingredient for my detox salads is always parsley, right? So we can just like put the parsley in there. This is like just cut, and I put it here as my decoration. As you can see, it looks beautiful, doesn't it? So literally, like parsley is a great support for the kidneys to flush out toxins, right? So I just love that parsley. Some people might maybe not like that much of parsley, but in a detox salad, you want a good amount of it, because it helps especially cleansing out all the toxins that get into our cellular system. As we know, we have water with fluoride, right? We are so depleted with all the other artificial flavorings on our food, processed food. So that's pretty much always the base for any kind of detox salad. And then after that, like we talked in the first half, we need nurturing, right? Restoring. So I can't just like cleans everything out, and then call it a day. And that's why I'm now into my favorite next thing, that is sunflower sprouts. So if you really see that, each little one could be a sunflower. And so sprouts are one of the most underestimated and greatest foods ever. Like, I got my boyfriend to eat it now, like snacks, which is great. He didn't realize how crunchy they are, you know. So in this case, sunflower seeds is so good because at the end, every vitamin and mineral to make a big, huge sunflower is already in that sprout. So sprouts are great for your endocrine system, adrenals, thyroid. Every single thing can get nourished with that. And one more thing that's amazing is high in calcium. We always think about milk, right, with calcium. There it is, super rich. And that's why I'm putting like quite a lot in. I might just put the whole thing in there, right? Like I said, I love those. There's a little tip that I was saying, if you grow your own sprouts, if you have more than 2 leaves, you have to keep it, because then it turns into a sunflower.
Aww,
so we're not allowed anymore to take it. So that is one thing. So again, you get vitamin A, D, E, calcium. I mean, it's called super microgreens because they give you such a punch of nutrients with such a minimal amount of calories. So that's where we're going with. You don't have to starve yourself to feel better, right? And then there's always the big question now when you make a salad. Most people want to have chicken on it, or salmon, or tofu, and where is my protein is like the next question most likely, right? So there is my protein. My protein is always quinoa or some kind of grain, but this one is actually not a grain. It actually comes from the family from spinach and beets. And they kind of harvest the seeds before it becomes a plant. So that is so high in protein. So if the question is, where is my protein? Right here, because the sprouts are also protein, remember? They become like a real sunflower.
Yeah, so we had Colin Campbell on the show several times talking about, the myth that we need animal protein, or all our protein should come from animal food, when plant food has so much protein in it.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's important to remember.
Think about all my sunflower babies in there right now. That's alone protein as well. Then the next thing I wanted to bring into the show is, because even I'm always like thinking about vegetables have to be cooked, but you can actually eat zucchinis raw. So especially in the summer, so if you're so hot like we are here on the East Coast right now, you said you were on vacation, right? It was like
105 degrees.
I don't think you wanted to cook your zucchini at that time.
Right, exactly.
So in this case, I just cut them, chop them a little bit in pieces, and I throw them in, because zucchini is actually great, like we talked, blood sugar balance. Right? It balances your blood sugar. And one more thing which is great right now in the times we're living is, it has the antioxidant in there, lutein, that's for the eyes, right? And what that means is all our kids are looking into all those digital devices right now, right? And it actually can help of counteracting the damage of the blue light that we have on all those equipments, unfortunately. So 2 things, like, as you see, I'm still cooking and eating, but I'm already having so many advantages for my body. So the next thing, of course, I love my newest discovery. Did you see those little mini cucumbers?
I love mini cucumbers. They're always so crunchy. Yeah.
I know. They're like, those are my favorite thing right now. Like, sometimes I go on a binge of like eating certain things because I just discovered them. That one is another one of mine. Those mini cucumbers, I just sometimes literally just take them and crunch on them and eat it. So it's like a pickle not being pickled, right? So why I like cucumbers is because in the summer we need to stay hydrated, right? And water sometimes alone is not enough. So I say sometimes to my clients, eat your water, right? And that is exactly why nature gives us watermelons, grapes, berries, cucumbers, tomatoes, and they're all in season right now. And that's, so now here I have my water, because you don't want to eat too dry either, which is the problem sometimes when we eat very acidic protein, we get also very dehydrated. You can see it on people, right? When they eat a lot of protein, they look very like
shriveled.
Yes, you said it. And then, so you can see now we still have no spinach leaves in there or the regular Roman lettuce, but it looks fantastic already. And then we can just kind of spice it up. My favorite is always pumpkin seeds, right? Not only because I'm Austrian, we're the biggest exporter of pumpkin seed oil, just kind of saying. Styrian pumpkin seed oil. But it is so high on zinc, and as we just noticed for the last 2-3 years, what's the most important thing right now we found out? Our immune system.
Yeah, and zinc really boosts the immune system.
Exactly. So I'm going to throw those in, and then seeds again, great for glandular system, thyroid, and all that. Onions, this is a great thing, always a great story of my grandfather. Every time I ran home and I saw him and he was in the kitchen, he was eating this thing, and I'm like, grandfather, can I have an apple too? And he's like, well, that's an onion. He was literally biting off from an onion, like an apple. But he had asthma, so he knew by taking it, it removes the phlegm.
Wow.
And it circulates your tissue better and your heart. And every time now I'm cooking with onions, I always think about him eating it like an apple. Can't really do it. I chop them, and I think the whole studio smells of it right now, doesn't it? Like it was in my car, it was everywhere now. My kids were like, what is that? Onions, fresh. So I put that in because, like I said, it's a detox. So we're filtering out toxins now from the kidneys. We're putting some quinoa in for the fibers, right? We get hydrated with the cucumbers. We have zucchini for the blood sugar. But now I need a little bit of getting the mucus out, right? Which comes a lot from gluten, sugar, dairy. And so that will take care of that. And the best dressing for liver cleanse and alkalinity is lemon juice. So you just like lots of lemon juice and a little bit olive oil is pretty much on my dressing. It's just really, really simple. You can literally even sometimes just squeeze some lemon in and call it a day. You don't always have to cook with oil, as we know from Campbell, right?
Yeah.
They are like low fat cooking
Low
as well.
oil cooking.
Yes.
And you don't use any sea salt at all?
No.
Okay.
No. In this case, I don't, because I'm trying. Most people have too much salt in their diet, right? So in this case, I keep it like it is. But of course, you can spice it up then, because sometimes my clients who are in this wellness coaching program, they call me up and I'm like, hey, I spiced it up with cayenne and this. I'm like, okay, you can put cayenne in, spice it up, increase the heat for better detox, all good. And if you do salt, then always use some kind of volcanic salt. I love the newest thing again from New Zealand, a volcanic sea salt, Himalayan salt. And that's pretty much it. And here it is. And if you eat this, like some of my clients, and then they call me up and they're like starving, then I'll tell them, you know what, take the avocado, right? So the avocado is quite
So you're
high.
recommending this for all their meals or one
No,
meal?
just for the evening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the 2 meals, what do you recommend?
So usually in the morning, I have them do, in the summer, I do more fruits, right? And at lunchtime, it depends if they're like very, very active. Then I have them cook more like steamed vegetables, because in Europe, we eat more our heavier meals more at lunchtime.
Right.
Right? So then at the evening, before you go to bed, you can digest your food much slower because you're laying down. And then a lot of people have acid reflux and all that like bloating and digestive issues. So I think, growing up in Europe, I like my heavier meal most likely more at lunchtime, right? It's naturally, I think. Some
Just
people...
so what Ben Franklin says.
He did, good. Happy to
Have
hear.
your dinner at lunchtime.
Yeah, because in old times, it was meant that you come in, fuel yourself, and then you go out and chop wood, right? Instead of just sitting at the laptop.
Birgit, thank you so much for being on the show. Do you want to show your book again and tell viewers about your upcoming program.
Awesome. So this is the book, and I'm a co-author of this book, Superpowers. You can find it in Amazon actually, and it actually became an Amazon bestseller already. So I'm very happy. Lots of information. Each author is amazing in their own field. I'm obviously in the field of nutrition, and when clients come to me, I do iridology readings as an herbalist, but my food is my medicine. So most of my clients now, when they come to me, they have to go through a 4 to 12 weeks wellness coaching program where we kind of figure out where they were lacking in minerals. So I can find out how to rebuild their cellular system so they reverse aging. And the end result is that they might lose weight if they have to. They might gain weight if they have to, right? That happens too. And then also the reverse aging, and the best thing is always when my clients call me and like somebody stopped them in the supermarket and says, "You look so great. What are you doing?" We're eating sprouts.
We're eating sprouts, sunflower sprouts. Thank you, viewers, for watching today. We learned a lot about detox and all your work with iridology. We hope to have you back on the show soon.
Love to.
Yes, and make sure to look us up at www.macromagic.com, and we hope to see you next time.